Hi everyone, our presentation is about formation of contract in construction. Contracts are the foundation of any successful project, ensuring clarity and accountability or legality. This presentation is prepared by Atul and myself. Let's start the presentation. Contracts are the backbone of agreements in almost every industry. In conclusion, they are especially crucial as they ensure timely completion of projects, clearly define scope of work, and outline payment terms. By understanding contracts, we foster professionalism and minimize dispute amongst all stakeholders. Additionally, contracts create accountability and ensure that enforceable obligations are properly placed. This introduction set the stage for exploring the importance of contract in depth. Let's dive in more further. A contract is more than an agreement. It's a legally enforceable promise between two parties. It defines rights and duties, helps court resolve disputes, and ensure clarity. In construction, written contracts are standard, through verbal one also exist. This shows why contracts are key to maintain the fairness and order. A contract is a build of five key elements. It starts with the offer, then it followed by acceptance, where both parties agree on each other term and condition. Considerations involve the value exchange and the capacity ensure that all parties are legally competent. Lastly, legality ensure that contract abides by the law. Together these elements form a valid and enforceable contract.
So now we are going to talk about how do we create these contracts. So basically it involves four main steps. The first one of them begins with negotiation, where all the terms and regulations of the contracts are discussed. The next step is drafting, where these the all the regulations which were discussed, the terms which were discussed, they are documented. Then these contracts go for review and amendments to see if there is any room for improvements in these contracts and what needs to be done. Is it all okay? Is it right? Is it good for the industry standards and all of that stuff? It helps to maintain the accuracy and fairness. And the final step is the acceptance, which I feel is the most important as the most debatable one. Uh, this binds the both the parties in a contract. This gives us a green light that a contract has been created, and acceptance can be through verbally and written. Uh, Majorly in construction industries, uh, the written acceptance is valued more over the verbal acceptances. So these are basically the four steps how we create contracts. So in this slide, we are going to discuss what's the importance of these contracts in our industry. Why are they so vital? Like, is it are they really necessary? Well, they are, and that's why they are the most discussed phase in a construction project because they helps in clearly defining the terms, like the which are the implied terms or the supplementary terms and what will supersede in what conditions. This reduces the rooms for any kind of misunderstandings. uh, they safeguard the parties from any kind of discrimination which may be conducted towards them, because then the parties have a legal base to challenge the discrimination in the court and be compensated for any damages that have been done to them. These contracts helps in imposing the penalties or over the parties which do not hold their end of the agreements, like if there is any the work done by any of the parties not up to the standard, or the materials the any one party provided are not good for that project. So these contracts helps in those situations, and one of the major roles is to encourage the accountability. Like these hold the parties up for the work they have done. It makes them responsible for any mistakes that they may have done or the good work they have done. And also, it increases the professionalism among the industry as it sets a standard for the work to be done. And last but not least, it reduces and the probability of disputes or deliverables because both the parties knows what they should be doing, what are they expected, and they have a sort of fear that if things don't work as per the agreement, they may have to face the consequences, they may have to face the penalties, and they may have to pay the damages to the party. So this way the disputes are less, and even if there is a dispute, it can be solved or resolved on the basis of these agreements in the courts. It makes the lives of courts easier to give a judgment based on these agreements, like what was decided initially between the two parties and which party was at the fault. So these agreements helps a lot. In the next slide, we are going to conclude our topic about the contracts. So let's head over to next slide. So far, we have discussed about the various aspects of the contracts in construction industry, like why they are important, what do contracts constitute of, and all that stuff. To sum it up, these contracts are very vital for ensuring trust, fairness, and compliance amongst the parties involved in a project. Uh, they provide clarity and thoroughness, which increases the chances of a better outcome amongst the uh, parties. So, like everyone knows what their roles are, everyone knows what their limitations are. So the chances of a successful project increases when a contract is well laid down and both parties hold their ends. Also, knowledge of these contracts, like what should be written in these contracts, how should the language look like, this helps, like it should be clear, and what terms need to be included and where they need to be included. This helps in avoiding any disputes because if there is a dispute, that's a very costly process, like going to court, settling it, the lawyer fees, and all that stuff. So this knowledge of contracts helps to be more cost efficient in the project. This does not increase the project cost, and it clearly outlines the obligations and ensures that the involved parties meet their legal requirements. Um, Parties know their obligations, that what they need to do. Like for a owner's perspective, he knows that he needs to make certain payments on certain times, what amount of money he can hold back, and all that stuff. For a contractor point of view, he knows what he needs to perform. Uh, he needs to reach the substantial performance for any project, how he needs to send the receipts to the owner. So all that stuff is outlined in the agreements, in the contracts that are formed before the construction starts, before the work on the field starts. So these contracts are really important, and the knowledge of these helps to make the lives of the people easy in construction industry. And this was a presentation on the topic. Hopefully you guys liked it and it was knowledgeable. Hopefully, we could explain all the aspects of the contracts, how they are formed, and all that stuff. So, that's all from my side. And so, that was our presentation for contracts from what we learned in our class. And this was our way of explaining things. Hopefully, it was informative. And thank you to all listen. And we would really like this is a topic where you can delve more. We really try to keep it to the basic level. So thank you and hopefully you enjoyed our presentation. Thank you a lot.